The series begins with a girl named Varaya sitting in a house on the farm, the home filled with candles, as she awaits her boyfriend, Yaman, to celebrate her birthday together. However, when Yaman arrives, he is visibly saddened, leaving Varaya puzzled, especially when he doesn't bring the birthday cake he promised. Suddenly, Yaman pulls out a gun, shocking Varaya. In despair, Varaya decides to set the farm and house ablaze, locking herself inside as the flames engulf the building. A day earlier, Varaya and Yaman are seen happy and in love, with Yaman surprising Varaya with a plane trip, hinting at another surprise that night which would change their lives forever. Meanwhile, Jamila, Varaya's stepmother, wakes up for work and is surprised to find Varaya's bed empty, despite her daughter Elena's ignorance of Varaya's whereabouts and for marrying a widower with children. Jamila works as a maid in the mansion of Yaman's family, the Almerbek family, where she is displeased to see Yaman and Varaya together, showing signs of jealousy. Elena, who also harbors feelings for Yaman, tries to avoid seeing them together. After confronting Varaya about her relationship with Yaman, Jamila warns her against getting close to him, threatening to expose their relationship to Yaman's mother, which could result in their family being thrown out. Atish, the son of Gulvam from America, arrives home to a warm welcome from his brothers, Yaman and Okan, and a loving embrace from his mother, who he has missed dearly. However, his interaction with his grandfather, Omur Bek, is strained, especially when discussing the closure of his company in America. Atish reveals he sold the business to an investor, emphasizing his return to Turkey was for family, not business failure. During a family dinner, Omur Bek expresses his disappointment about Atish's business decisions, but announces plans to reopen their factory with the partnership of Fural Bakirci, shocking everyone. Atish objects, citing Fural's shady reputation, but his grandfather insists Fural has changed for the better. The conversation escalates when Okan's contributions are dismissed by Omur Bek, who then decrees Atish will lead the family business, leaving Atish dismayed at the prospect of staying in Turkey permanently. The evening unveils another surprise as Atish learns they are invited to Fural's home, with the intention of arranging Atish's marriage to Fural's daughter, Bada, leaving everyone in shock. Meanwhile, Yaman reminisces about his long-standing love for Varaya and plans to propose to her with an engagement ring. Detecting Varaya's distress, presumably caused by Jamila's harsh treatment, Yaman confronts Jamila in the kitchen, warning her to respect Varaya, his future wife and the future lady of the mansion. Elena, carrying a bag of sweets, enters, and Yaman's interaction with her is misinterpreted by Elena as a sign of affection, fueling her infatuation with him. Jamila, worried about her daughter's unrequited love for Yaman, tries to dissuade her, but Elena remains determined to win Yaman's love, despite her mother's concerns. In the evening, Varaya prepares for a birthday celebration with Yaman, but Elena's jealousy prompts her to provoke her mother, Jamila, against Varaya, aiming to disrupt her plans. Indeed, Jamila attempts to keep Varaya at home under the pretense of needing help with chores, but Varaya clarifies that she has already finished the tasks and had her father Mohsin's permission to go out. Jamila confronts Mohsin for allowing Varaya's outing, leading to family discord incited by Nesrin, Mohsin's wife. Mohsin, attempting to resolve the issue, compromises by asking Varaya to take Elena along. Despite the awkward situation, Varaya leaves with Elena, and upon meeting Yaman, his surprise at Elena's presence confirms Varaya's suspicion of Jamila and Elena's intent to spoil her birthday. They proceed to their destination, a bar, where their arrival surprises Varaya's friends. Suddenly, Bora, the son of Fural Bakirci, nearly hits Varaya with his car, leading to a confrontation. Later, at the Bakirci residence, Omur Bek and his family, including Atish, are guests. Dinner conversation turns tense when marriage discussions emerge, and Atish shockingly declares he's engaged in America, stunning everyone, especially as this contradicts Omur Bek's plans for Atish to marry Bada, Fural's daughter. Back at the bar, Elena invites Bora over, irritating Varaya and her friend Hazal. When Varaya decides to leave early and instructs Yaman to meet her outside, Elena and Hazal end up following her, leading to a confrontation where Bora attempts to assault Varaya. Yaman arrives just in time to defend her, resulting in a fight between him and Bora, which escalates until Bora leaves in anger. The evening ends on a sour note, with Varaya insisting on leaving due to the ruined mood. Yaman is alone at home with Okan when the doorbell rings. Opening the door, Yaman is startled to find Bora pointing a gun at him, demanding an apology for a previous altercation over a girl boy Bora fancied, unaware that she is Yaman's girlfriend. The situation escalates until Okan intervenes, striking Bora with a statue, knocking him unconscious. Jamila, secretly observing, watches as Yaman decides to take Bora to the hospital, instructing Okan to clean the house of any evidence before their grandfather, Omur Bek, returns. Meanwhile, the family dynamics continue to unravel as Omur Bek confronts Atish over his unexpected claim of being engaged in America, which complicates Omur's plans for Atish's future. Gulavam, Atish's mother, learns of her son's sacrifice and reminds him to keep her illness a secret. Okan, outside the hospital, is devastated to learn of Bora's death. Panicked and unsure, he tells a security guard a lie about visiting a relative. In a desperate move to cover up the incident, Okan disposes of Bora's body in a lake. The next morning, Yaman is anxious for Okan's return. When Okan arrives looking disheveled and explains his absence by a night out at the lake, Yaman suspects something is amiss. After learning the truth about Bora's fate, Yaman is shocked, and Okan insists on keeping the matter a secret to protect their family from potential retaliation by Bora's powerful father, Foral. Unbeknownst to them, Jamila has overheard their entire conversation, adding another layer of tension and secrecy within the family's complex web of relationships and conflicts. After discovering Yaman's clothes brought by Shukru, Alina insists on personally delivering them to Yaman's room. There she lingers, spying on Yaman as he showers, until Gulavam catches her and sternly reminds her of her place as a servant, warning against any aspirations beyond that. Gulavam demands Jamila remove her daughter from the house after witnessing Alina's inappropriate behavior. Overwhelmed and unsure how to protect her daughter, Jamila confronts a distraught Alina, who fabricates a story about Gulavam's accusations. Jamila promises to resolve the situation, ensuring Alina won't be sent away. Jamila discovers Bora's phone, noticing incoming calls from Bade. Meanwhile, Bade, visiting the Beck household, inquires about Bora's whereabouts the previous night. Yaman and Okan, anxious, deflect her questions. Bade receives a message from Bora claiming he's in Spain, which raises her suspicion due to the phony being switched off. After catching Jamila with Bora's phone and realizing she's behind the messages, Yaman and Okan confront her. She blackmails them, demanding Yaman marry her daughter Elena in exchange for her silence about the events leading to Bora's demise. Under pressure, Yaman agrees to Jamila's terms to protect his family, despite his reservations and love for Farai, but tries to reassure Okan, indicating they might resolve the situation with money rather than yielding to her demands. Elena, ecstatic about a dinner invitation from Yaman, believes he's professing his love. She prepares for the evening with Farai's help, unknowingly wearing a dress Yaman had gifted Farai. The dinner is tense, with Yaman proposing out of obligation, leaving Elena overjoyed but unaware of the true grim context of their engagement. Amidst family tensions, Atish's return sparks further conflict, especially when his plans to modernize the family business clash with traditional expectations. The narrative takes a darker turn with Yaman's desperate act at Vera's farmhouse, leading to a tragic confrontation. As secrets unravel, alliances shift, and the family's facade of unity crumbles, revealing a web of lies, betrayal, and unrequited love. Amidst the chaos, Atish emerges as an unexpected savior, rescuing Vera from the inferno she set, only to discover her pregnancy, adding another layer of complexity to the family's saga. Atish stays by Vera's side in the hospital, trying to comfort her and ensure the well-being of her unborn child. Vera and Atish confront a police inquiry into the fire, maintaining secrecy about her presence in the farmhouse to avoid suspicion. Yet, Vera's pregnancy becomes a new secret between them, with Atish offering support regardless of her decision regarding the baby. Meanwhile, Okan contacts Yaman, expressing concern over his absence and informing him about the farmhouse fire and Atish rescuing someone to the hospital. Shocked, Yaman rushes to the scene. Concurrently, Bora, believed dead, miraculously survives the lake's depths, managing to free himself and reach the shore, exhausted but alive. Furkan discovers from his right-hand man, Bakir, that Bora didn't leave Turkey as thought, raising suspicions and prompting an urgent search for him. In the hospital, Atish inquires Vera about the fire's cause, leading to a tense moment as Vera struggles to conceal the real reasons for her presence at the farmhouse. As Yaman arrives at the hospital, he confronts a resistant Vera who is devastated by his betrayal. Amidst their emotional turmoil, Atish enters, complicating the situation further. Yaman learns of Vera's condition and is warned to keep their earlier presence at the farmhouse a secret. Elena's call goes unanswered by Yaman, deepening the narrative's complexities and setting the stage for further confrontations and revelations. Back at the mansion, Elena wallows in self-pity, distressed over Yaman's silence while her family remains anxious about Vera's absence. As Atish and Vera leave the hospital, Atish lends her his phone to reassure her family, fabricating a story to explain her overnight disappearance. Yaman, consumed by guilt and unable to continue the charade, decides he must confess everything to Vera and end the facade of marrying Elena. However, Okan urges him to persist with the plan to protect their family from the wrath of Bora's father, Foral, who is already suspicious of his son's mysterious absence. Amidst these tensions, as Yaman contemplates revealing the truth to Vera, Foral's visit to the family heightens the tension, with veiled threats suggesting he knows more about Bora's situation than he lets on. This precarious situation leaves the family navigating a web of lies, with each member grappling with their own secrets and the looming threat of Foral's vengeance. Upon Vera's return home with Atish, she faces a confrontation with her brother, Stein, who disbelieves her story about staying at the hospital with a friend. Atish intervenes, urging Stein to refrain from arguing with Vera, hinting at her possible distress and secrets. Entering her room, Vera finds the dress Elena wore, fueling her despair, especially as Elena gloats about her impending marriage to Yaman. Nisreen tries to console Vera, criticizing Yaman's betrayal, which only deepens Vera's sorrow. Alone, Vera cuts up the dress in a state of breakdown. Yaman sneaks into Vera's room, finding her asleep. After a tender moment, he accidentally wakes her, leading to a tense encounter with Elena, who mistakenly believes Yaman's visit was for her. After Elena and Yaman leave, Vera is left in tears, feeling trapped by her situation. Hazel visits Vera, skeptical of Elena's claims of marrying Yaman, and shows disbelief when Yaman confirms the marriage. Shocked, Hazel learns of Vera's pregnancy, urging her to inform Yaman, but Vera refuses, determined to face it alone, with Hazel's support. Meanwhile, Jamila serves coffee to Gulve, bragging about Elena's noble suitor, leading Gulve to suspect manipulation. On their way to the marriage registration, Elena excitedly discusses wedding plans, while Yaman drives recklessly, overwhelmed by thoughts of Vera. After a dangerous moment, they proceed with their secret marriage to avoid family conflict. That night, a group of youths at the lake discover Bora, calling an ambulance. The paramedics manage to revive him, hinting at more complications to come. Upon Vera's return home with Hazel, they concoct a story about Vera receiving a scholarship to justify Hazel's stay during Vera's pregnancy. Stein scolds Vera for leaving without permission and not having her phone, to which Vera responds that she now has an old phone from Hazel with a new SIM card for better communication. In the kitchen, Nisreen attempts to scold Vera for her actions, but Vera sharply retorts, upsetting Nisreen. Jamila then warns Vera not to ruin Elena's happiness with Yaman, revealing her deep-seated jealousy of Vera's advantages, such as a loving family, a wealthy and affectionate lover, beauty, and grace, unlike her daughter who has only a servant mother. Later, as they serve dinner to the Omarbek family, Yaman and Elena enter, announcing their marriage, shocking everyone, especially Gulva, who collapses, blaming Jamila and Elena for deceiving Yaman. Jamila responds arrogantly, insisting Yaman loves her daughter and that Gulve must accept it. Amidst the chaos, Omarbek scolds Yaman for marrying a servant's daughter, to which Jamila defiantly retorts, causing further astonishment with her boldness. Omarbek then confronts Yaman to understand his actions, but Yaman remains silent, leading his grandfather to disinherit him, suspecting greed on Jamila and Elena's part. Yaman accepts without objection, indicating defiance, which escalates into a family argument. Atish intervenes, asserting their independence and right to choose their partners, challenging their grandfather's authoritarian stance. The patriarch then threatens them with severe consequences beyond disinheritance, hinting at a tough stance against any damage to the family's reputation. In the kitchen, Jamila comforts her distraught daughter, Elena, promising her happiness as long as they're together. She encourages Elena to embrace her new life in the mansion as Yaman's wife. Meanwhile, Vera encounters Yaman and tries to ignore him, but but he follows her, pleading for forgiveness. Despite breaking down, Vera gathers her strength to push Yaman away, declaring she could never forgive him and leaves him alone. Atish then attempts to talk to Yaman, who angrily dismisses him. Yaman criticizes Atish for acting like a hero, pointing out the hardships he and Okan faced due to Atish's absence, emphasizing that Atish's sudden concern is misplaced. Gulve confronts Jamila and the Musin family, tearing up the marriage certificate and expressing disbelief at Musin's betrayal, given the family's support during his illness and acceptance of Jamila. Musin swears ignorance of the scheme, but Gulve vows the marriage won't last, asserting her authority. Jamila remains unfazed, asserting Elena's new status in the mansion. Yaman retreats to his room, surprised to find Elena there. Despite her attempts to get closer, Yaman opts to sleep on the couch, explaining his discomfort with sharing a bed. Gulve and her father deliberate on eliminating Jamila and Elena from their lives. Vera, in her room, mourns her relationship with Yaman, revisiting their shared moments. Yaman, too, reflects on their past, listening to their voice messages to feel close to Vera. This complex web of emotions, confrontations, and plans for the future highlights the deep divides and unresolved tensions within and between these intertwined families. The next morning, Vera wakes up and asks her brother, Shaitan, for permission to attend her university training, but he refuses, suggesting that now Elena is married to Yaman, she could help Vera get a job at the factory. Vera is dismayed by the idea and insists that the university training is crucial for finding a better job than working at the factory. Shaitan shocks Vera by saying they would have to send their father to a nursing home if she leaves, as they would be unable to manage without her, especially with Elena and Jamila living in the mansion and no one else to take care of their father and the household duties. Later, Vera decides to visit her mother's grave on her way to the university, where Atish sees her entering the cemetery and decides to follow her. He watches her from a distance as she talks to her mother about her struggles and loneliness. Feeling sympathetic, Atish approaches Vera, offering his company and support, mentioning he remembers her mother from their childhood. Vera shares her problems with Atish, including her brother's refusal to let her pursue her university training and his threat to send their father to a nursing home. Atish gives Vera his phone number, encouraging her to contact him if she needs help. Meanwhile, Jamila is preparing Elena's trousseau, noticing her daughter's sadness. Elena confesses that Yaman is distant and cold towards her, not behaving like a husband. When Gulve enters, she mocks Elena's trousseau and treats her kindly, inviting her for coffee alone, which alarms Jamila. Gulve cunningly tries to win Elena over to her side to undermine Jamila, suggesting that Elena pretend to be just a university colleague of Yaman's to avoid public scrutiny and shame associated with being a servant's daughter. This implies that Jamila would no longer work or be seen at the mansion, putting Elena in a difficult position. Gulve convinces Elena that her mother would want her happiness above all, making Elena consider asking her mother to stay away from the mansion for the sake of her new life with Yaman. Atish and his siblings are at their grandfather's company for a meeting with Firal about business matters. Firal insists that Atish must marry Bade and obey his commands. However, Atish stands firm in his refusal, declaring he will only marry someone he loves and chooses. This defiance leads to a heated argument with his grandfather, prompting Atish to leave the company. Deciding he needs someone to talk to, Atish calls Vera to meet and talk because he is feeling very upset. They agree to meet at the university. During their conversation, Atish shares his frustrations about his harsh grandfather and the pressure to marry Firal Bakirch's daughter against his will. Meanwhile, Bora is in intensive care at the hospital, unidentified, and the police are searching records and reports to determine his identity. Officer Hakan manages to identify Bora and informs Firal that his son is in the hospital in critical condition. This news shocks everyone, especially Yaman and Okan, who become terrified. Firal, his daughter Bad, and Omar head to the hospital. Okan panics, thinking it's the end for him, while Yaman decides he needs to flee the country and promises to protect Okan by telling the police that Bora attacked them first. At the university, Atish proposes marriage to Vera, suggesting it would be beneficial for both of them. He would defy his grandfather by marrying the woman of his choice, and Vera could have a secure and respected position as his wife, protecting her and her unborn child from her brother's threats. Vera is hesitant and fearful, refusing the idea. Atish asks if she plans to return to the child's father, but Vera insists that man is out of her life for good. As they are talking, Yaman arrives and is surprised to see his brother with Vera. Vera angrily tells Yaman she doesn't want him to touch or speak to her again, declaring her hatred for him. Atish returns with a drink for Vera, and upon seeing Yaman, questions his presence. Yaman confronts Atish, and Vera decides to hurt Yaman by claiming she will marry his brother, shocking Yaman profoundly. Yaman is skeptical about Atish and Vera's conversation about marriage, prompting Atish to claim they've been talking for a year on social media, which shocks Yaman even more, feeling betrayed by Vera. As Vera leaves, tense and unsure how to act, Atish tries to understand Yaman's aggressive behavior towards him. At this moment, Okan informs them that Bora has fallen into a serious coma with slim chances of recovery, and their grandfather awaits them at the hospital. On the way, after much prodding from Okan for an explanation, Yaman reveals that Atish plans to marry Vera, and she has agreed. This news stuns Okan. Yaman then chases after the bus Vera is on, stopping it mid-route. Vera, seeing Yaman, flees from the bus, with Yaman in pursuit. After a heated confrontation where Yaman demands Vera look him in the eyes and confirm her betrayal, Vera pushes him away, insisting he has no right to question her now that he's married. Despite Yaman's desperation for answers, Vera throws sand in his eyes to escape, eventually finding refuge at Hazal's house, where she knows the security code. Inside, Vera shares her ordeal with Hazal, who surprisingly supports Atish's marriage proposal as a solution to Vera's problems, praising Atish as a decent man who would respect her. However, Vera remains fearful of such a significant step. Meanwhile, Yaman, known to Darla, Hazal's cousin, enters the house. Hazal confronts Yaman, demanding he leave, but he refuses, wanting to speak with Vera first. After a tense exchange, where Vera dismisses any remaining connection between them, Yaman is devastated by her claim of loving Atish, to hurt Yaman more deeply. Forced to leave by Darla and Hazal due to neighbors' complaints about the noise, Yaman exits in despair. Back inside, Hazal tries to comfort a distraught Vera, who confesses her inability to bear the pain any longer. Vera returns home to find Yaman waiting outside with his car, attempting to avoid him by rushing inside. A conflict arises between Yaman and Okan, overheard by Jamila, who waits for Yaman to leave before approaching Okan for details. Okan hands Jamila Vera's bag, suggesting she ask Vera directly. Jamila confronts Vera with the bag, accusing her of being with Yaman and questioning why she hasn't left the house as promised. Vera explains her brother Stein's refusal to let her go for training, threatening to send their father to a nursing home if she leaves. Jamila assures her that won't happen, promising to enable her training and travel. Jamila convinces Mehmet and Stein, overriding any objections and securing agreement for Vera's travel. Jamila notices Alina leaving with Gulfem, puzzled by Alina's secrecy. Alina refuses Jamila's company, claiming they're running late, leaving Jamila feeling sidelined and sensing Alina's growing attachment to Gulfem. At dinner, Yaman is visibly upset, further aggravated by Atish's phone call from Vera, requesting to meet. Atish confronts Yaman about his hostility, but their discussion escalates into a fight, with Okan intervening, warning that Atish's marriage to Vera could worsen family tensions and disappoint their mother. Atish insists he's acting for their benefit, aiming to prove their independence from their grandfather's control, though Yaman doubts his sincerity. Meanwhile, Vera feels unwell at dinner, retreating to her room. Jamila suspects pregnancy and spies on Vera, talking to Hazal. Jamila confronts Vera about her health, leading to an awkward denial from Vera, who claims she's just tired. Vera then leaves to meet Hazal, sending a message to Atish that she's waiting for him. Okan sees Vera and tries to convince her against marrying Atish, fearing it has turned the brothers into enemies. Vera assures him the marriage won't happen, relieving Okan, who attempts to share the news with Yaman without success. Vera meets with Atish, sharing Jamila's support for her training travel and her fears of his reaction. Atish respects her decision, promising his support until she gives birth. Vera thanks Atish, touched by his kindness and support, highlighting his compassionate nature. In this scenario, one of Fural's men informs him that after tracking Bora's phone, it's been located at the mansion of Omer Bey's family, shocking both Fural and Bade. As everyone sleeps, Yaman sneaks into Vera's room through the window, embracing her forcefully, declaring she belongs only to him, expressing undying love before hastily exiting to avoid being caught. The next morning, Elena, frustrated by Yaman's harsh treatment towards her, her, starts treating Vera as her servant in the kitchen, leading to a loud argument. Jamila intervenes, advising Elena to stay with her husband in the mansion, reflecting her new status. Subsequently, Jamila plans to clean the farmhouse with Vera. Encountering Yaman and Okan on their way out, Jamila reveals their destination. At the farmhouse, Jamila secretly plans to give Vera abortion pills, mixing them into a drink. However, their plan is interrupted by Nurse Shahar's unexpected visit. Vera is puzzled by her presence, and as Shahar is invited to drink the juice, Jamila panics, fearing exposure. Shahar realizes Vera is unaware of the abortion plan and exposes Jamila's deceit, leading to a confrontation where Jamila expresses her determination to prevent Vera from having Yaman's child. Vera, enraged and threatened by Jamila, leaves to meet Atish, who rushes to her aid upon sensing her distress over the phone. That evening, Atish and Vera return to the mansion together. To everyone's surprise, Atish holds Vera's hand, leading her to her father to propose marriage. Jamila is visibly angered by this development. Atish assures that he will inform his family and proceed with the marriage traditionally, confronting Jamila's hostility towards Vera with defiance and determination. Atish goes to his family and finds everyone waiting for him. Alone with his grandfather, Omar Bey, Atish is told he will take over the business, but he interrupts, planning to return to America, suggesting Yaman should take over instead. Their grandfather disagrees, refusing to let Yaman handle anything but accepts Atish's choice of spouse, surprisingly aware of his wish to marry Vera, daughter of Masin, and agrees to formally request her hand in marriage. Yaman is shocked by these developments. Atish and his grandfather then inform Golfem of Atish's decision not to return to America. They all head to Fural's house, unaware of his vengeful plan for his son. Yaman, left alone in the mansion, unleashes his anger on Elena, leading to a loud confrontation with Jamila. Elena demands Jamila leave, asserting her place as Yaman's wife. Hearing a phone ring, Yaman answers Vera's call to Atish's phone, but remains silent, leading Vera to hang up. Yaman, pretending to be Atish, texts her, asking for a meeting. Meanwhile, Fural's men, posing as pest control, search the mansion with a device to locate mobile signals. Finding the phone in driver Milli's room, they confront Shahtin and Jamila at gunpoint, Jamila terrified as she had hidden the phone there. Shahtin informs Omar Bey of the incident, who realizes Fural's involvement. After a confrontation, Fural reveals his men found his son's phone in the driver's room. Vera, intending to meet Atish as requested, is surprised to find Yaman in the car, who locks the doors to prevent her escape. He declares his intention to do what should have been done long ago, marking the end of the first part of the series.